Okay, it is 11 o'clock Pacific time here in gorgeous Seattle, Washington, where I am. I hope that it is beautiful and just perfect weather for you wherever you are in the world. My name is Dira Brown, and I am with Play It Out Loud. And we are on day 2 of our 5-day How to Yes and Yourself challenge. So we are here learning how to use our whole bodies, our words, our movements, our sounds, to really embody the improv principle of yes and. And how I'm doing that is both, the techniques that I'm showing folks are both things that I've learned in my improv classes and in my transformational seminars that I've taken. I am a certified life coach and facilitator, really focused on body wisdom, body intelligence, and how to partner with that. In this case, how to improvise with our body intelligence to create new contexts, new stories, and have fun while we're transforming our lives. I'm all about how can we have fun as we go through the process of evolving, changing, and creating what we really want in our lives. So I'm excited to start today. We've got a couple folks on so far. Say hello as you jump on so I can see your beautiful names in the comment section and wave to other people. I want to let you know that I am streaming this live on my public page, so feel free to share it out if this is something that you want to share with a particular friend or colleague. I would super appreciate it. It's also going into our private group page at Play It Out Loud, Transform Your Life through Improv and Play. That's the name of the group. And in there, you're going to find extra posts and discussions for more support around these yes and techniques that I'm sharing these next few days. So if you're not already in the group, hop on over there, and I will be sure to let you in before the end of our meeting today. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to do a little bit of introduction and chit chat. And then we're going to actually do an experience. So I'm going to lead you through an experience of whole body expressing so you can have a taste of that. I'll be loving your feedback along the way. Doing Facebook Live and speaking sort of into the void is definitely new for me. So all your feedback is welcome. And then in the group, which is why I really would invite you to join the group if you're not already in there, I've posted a Zoom link so that at the end here, when I finish up with the live call, we can jump into a Zoom call together and we can debrief. And also I've got a partner exercise. So those of you who are willing to play in partners, we can play with this that way as well. So that is posted in the group for those of you who are looking for it. But for now, here we are at Facebook Live. You're in the right place, so you can just sit back and make yourself comfortable. So give me a shout out. Let me see who's here, what your name is, where you're calling in from. Hi, Michael. Great to have you here. And yeah, let's see them coming in through the comments here as I get started. So I don't know about you, but I am ready for some new games. And by new games, I am ready to shift out of the old games that are rooted in right and wrong and good and bad. So I want to quote you Rumi here. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, oh my God. I'm getting teary. if I can finish this quote. Yeah. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Oh, I normally, when I say that quote, I just say the first part, which is out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing. There is a field, and I will meet you there. I'm doing this, I'm feeling really warm. And that part of it is like, let's connect in a place where, I don't make myself wrong. I don't make you wrong. I don't have to be right. You don't have to be right. What else is possible? And I found the rest of the quote, when the soul lies down in the grass and the world is too full to talk about, and added that in. And it just really touched me. It just really touched me, the connection of being in that space where there is no right and wrong. That all there is experiencing, is our direct experience of what's happening, and our choice to be with it, to enjoy it. And so that is the game that I'm here to play. And I also want to play games that are outside the context of success and failure, or approval and disapproval, right? These all have the same flavor to them. And I want to share with you another quote. This one is by Viola Spolin, who is definitely the person that I would choose. She's passed now, but she was definitely the person I would choose to have lunch with if I could have lunch with somebody who's passed. She literally wrote the book on improvisation. She wrote Improvisation for the Theater. And so much of her philosophy is very in line with the games that I want to play. And she says, approval, disapproval. So the context of seeking approval or avoiding disapproval is keeping you from having a direct experience. So approval / disapproval is keeping you from having a direct experience, which means when you're playing that game of approval, disapproval, you're robbing yourself of the joy of simply experiencing yourself and the world around you, because you're filtering that experience, through the lens of somebody else, some other learned filter that you got from somebody else. And so you don't get to have that direct experience, and I don't get to have that direct experience when I'm doing that. And so, yes, and for me, this idea of accepting my experience just as it is invites me to, first be with, and I guess I'm just on a quote spree today, because now I'm going to quote Gay Hendricks, who always says that the definition of love is being in the same space with. So if you've experienced love transforming anything, being in the space with somebody who just genuinely accepts you and loves you, being in the same space with your experience, really being with it, is the first step, or maybe the only step that's needed to transform it, right? And I really think it's the foundation, the first step that's needed to be able to even choose to something different, to choose a different game. Because being in the same space with, for me, creates space for something new, a new game to emerge, a new choice to come up. And I'm not just, sometimes when I'm wanting to change, I'm wanting to shift my perspective. I don't want this experience to happen. I just want to skip the acceptance part and just go straight to the play. Just go straight to a new choice. Okay, I'm just going to do something else. And what can happen with that is that all I'm doing is sort of layering on these choices on top of something that's bigger, that's still brewing inside me, and it just kind of can create what it can create a lot for me is confusion and fear, because I'm not harmonizing with what's actually happening before and creating space for the next thing, for the new choice. And speaking of approval, disapproval, the new choice might what I'm choosing. So if I'm choosing to, um, make, let's just use let's have an example here. So, I'm procrastinating about marketing my program, let's say, and I'm like, well, I just want to stop doing that. I want to make a new choice. I don't want to do that anymore. And so where's my new choice going to come from? Is it going to come from inspiration from within me? Probably not, because what I have within me is, procrastinating and fear. And so, okay, well then what do I need to do? And I'm going to look outside of myself for that choice. I'm going to look at, okay, well, what is everybody else doing? Because they're doing it and it's working for them. And so I'm going to go outside of myself and I'm going to say, well, that's working. Okay, so I'm just going to try that. So most often when I'm not willing to accept what I'm experiencing first and allow my own intuition or my own impulse uh, to inform my new choice or my right, my yes and, I'm gonna choose something that somebody else suggests or that I see somebody else doing. And then that gets really confusing. So if you are, if you're ready for a new game, I want you to put in the comments here, what's a new game that you're ready to play, right? Right? Are you ready to shift out of the right, wrong game? Are you ready to shift out of the approval, disapproval game? And if so, what else is possible? What give me some ideas. What do you think? Yeah, Michael says, wow, that's big. The living approval, disapproval is missing the present moment. Yeah, it's missing it. Even the approval, disapproval of, or the filter of like, I should be having these feelings, or I shouldn't be having these feelings. Well, what if whatever feeling it is, I could actually enjoy it by simply having it? Right? That's what I get really excited about that. If I could change the filter around my feelings and feeling them, befriending them, I could just actually enjoy all of my feelings. So yeah, let me know what's a new game that you want to play. What's a new game here? So we're such a head-centric society, right? There, we want to figure it out. We want to get it done. It kind of you want to use our big brains to solve our problems. And in my opinion, that can in my experience, that can lead to a very detached point of view, sort of like a top-down, like, what's going on down here in my body? Oh my gosh, there's feelings and stuff. Well, that's just going to get in the way of me doing what I need to do. I'll just ignore that. We analyze. I have an analyzer. I have a judger. I have a criticizer that can come in. I have a really strong desire to understand my experience, to understand why I'm having the experience that I'm having. And I've gotten to the point where I don't judge that just is part of me, that I really like to understand why I'm having the experience I'm having. And what I've gotten to is that trying to understand why I'm having my experience before having it can lead to a lot of confusion and just resisting my actually just being in my experience. So I want to invite you to consider that it's not why that's really important, at least not initially. It's how. How are you experiencing what you're experiencing? And so remember yesterday I talked a little bit about how the body communicates, a little bit about body language when we were exploring and heightening, because I wanted you to be able to tune into your body and notice what it was doing, and notice how it was communicating what was going on on a deeper level within you. And so our body, again, I'll say our body is storing these storing these experiences, either that feelings that we haven't felt completely yet, or communications that we haven't expressed. And these things, they want to be complete. And it's like when we try to restrict them, it's actually like taking a hose and kicking it to stop the flow. And the flow will come out in different ways. You might have heard people say, my anger leaked out. Well, it kind of leaked out sideways, like it was in there. I was trying not to experience it, but then I yelled at my kid. So these things are going to want to come out, and feelings flow, whether you want them to or not. And the flow, they leak out in the form of how we express and how we communicate. And so here, for example, I can say the phrase "I'm fine" in a bazillion different ways, right? I can say "I'm fine," or I could say "I'm fine," or I could say "I'm fine," or I could say "I'm fine." Right? I could say it in a million different ways, and each one is going to communicate something a little bit differently. Unfortunately, our brain kind of tricks us when we're focused on an issue or a problem or something we're stuck on. We get very focused on what we're stuck on, right? The what in this case is the "I'm fine," instead of focusing on the how I'm stuck, right? Or the how I'm communicating about this issue. So when we're, today in our Yes and Move is expressing with the whole body, and it invites you to play with the how, full out play with how are you telling that story. All right, so whole body expressing is exactly like it sounds, right? It's using your whole body to communicate. You might be communicating a feeling, you might be communicating a story or an issue or a problem. And when we go into the how we're experiencing that, that's when we get to have our experience. That's when we get to connect with it. That's when we let go of the why and the judgment and the analyzing. All right. So let's just checking the comments. And now I'm curious if this is showing up in our group. I want to double check that. Bear with me for a second. Technical break. All right, excellent. It is showing up in the group. Okay, great. All right, so I want to give you an example. I'll stand up. So whenever I express with my whole body, I always, well, I won't say always. Most of the time I stand up. And when you're first learning this, I encourage you to stand up. So you have access, right, to all of your body moving, all of your body expressing. So this morning, I was playing with this, and I started playing with the topic of homeschooling my son. I've been homeschooling my son since he was 5. So it's not exactly a new thing for the pandemic. And I started talking about like, if he doesn't want to, like if he's just going to fight me on everything, then I'm not going to do it. I'm just, forget it. I'm just not going to do it. Forget it. If he doesn't want to, then I don't want to force him. I mean, I don't want to fight with him. I mean, he just resists everything that I do. And I started with the words there, and then I'm going to drop the words. I don't understand. What is this? Everything he just and so what I noticed, first of all, okay, ridiculous, right? Funny. I know when I start to have a good time that I've started to be with myself, be with my experience, right? So you can ask yourself, am I having a good time yet? And then I paused and I noticed my position. So I noticed how I was organizing my body. And of course, the first thing I noticed was that my hands were behind my back. And in fact, they're like behind my back, like they're tied behind my back. And my head's out, and I've kind of gone from the initial like, oh, I'm just going to give up, forget it, which is sort of where I started in my story, to fighting, basically, like fighting with this whole issue. And so here I am, and I realized from here, I'll tell you more about I just love going into the head part. It's so strong to analyze. From here, I paused. I noticed how I was organizing myself. I took a breath. And I chose one thing about my position to shift. Just one simple thing. I didn't shift my whole body, and it was my hands. And so I just brought my hands out, and I let my hands move. Freed my hands from being tied behind my back. And then from there, I could take another breath and move. So much was communicated to me just from playing with that for 2 minutes. And it can take a little bit to understand the language of our body. And that's not the point. The point is, can I express myself fully, completely? Can I be in my experience? And just notice. Like I said, you might ask yourself, am I having a good time? Am I having a good time? Yeah, so I was going to tell you what other insights came to me, but I think I'll just leave that. I'll let my head just be like, it's okay. I can just have that experience. I don't have to have a story to go along with that. And I'm more curious about what your experience is. So we're going to go into a practice time. Let me double check our comments. Let me know if you have any questions about that, about expressing with your whole body in the comments. And we are expressing what, if your body were talking about this issue, including sound, how would it do that, right? All right, let's go into our practice time. So go ahead and stand up. Make sure you have room around you. You're in a place that feels comfortable, that you can make sounds and move about. And tune into an issue or a problem or a potential, right? Something that you want to create or expand into, okay? It doesn't always have to be an issue. And choose something that you're open to playing with right now, right? Something that you're willing to experiment with. And bring that to mind. And as you do, as you think about this, I'm going to ask you to give yourself a rating. So from 0 to 10, what's your level of aliveness when you're mulling about, this issue, when you're thinking about it? 0 being practically dead and 10 being ecstatically alive. Yeah. What's your level of aliveness? I'm going to set a 2-minute timer. I'm going to do this for about 2 minutes. And you're going to tell, when I tell you to begin, you're going to tell your story about this issue and using your whole body. And for the first part, you can speak out loud. I think it is helpful to use words, particularly when you're first starting. And then I'm going to say partway through, drop the words. Okay. And then you're just going to use sounds and movements. All right. I might also toss in some other side coaching as you go along, and you can play with that or not and just keep expressing. It's up to you. All right. Begin expressing about your topic. Notice how you're talking about this topic. Notice your tone of voice. What's your overall attitude coming out? What words keep coming up as you're expressing? What's your posture like? All right, drop the words and just use sound and motion now. Just sound and movement. Listen to the rhythm of the sounds that you're making, the cadence. Feel free to make it bigger, to heighten it if that helps you express. This is your time to feel fully expressed. What else wants to emerge? What else wants to be expressed? Okay, pause where you are, notice, scan your body sensations, your feelings, your breathing. And I'm going to ask you, how are you organizing yourself to create this situation? How are you organizing yourself? And then as you scan your body, what is one small change that you wish to make about how you're organizing your body right now? Just change that one thing. It might be like I was, where I shifted my hand position. It might be shifting your posture slightly. relaxing the muscles in your eyes and your forehead. One small change. And now once you've made that change, take a few breaths and appreciate yourself for being willing to play with your experience. And then lastly, I want you to tune in again to the scale of your sense of aliveness from 0 to 10, 0 being fully alive, ecstatically alive, 10 being fully alive, ecstatically alive, 0 being barely alive. I'd love to hear from you now about this really short, simple 2-minute exercise. Tell me in the comments. Oh, nice. Thanks for sharing your numbers. Awesome. And I'm going to read James's comment here. I don't know if it's a game, but I like the idea of listening to what the body has to say. Yeah. The more I listen, the more my body will share. Smoother cooperation between the conscious and unconscious process. Exactly. Imagine, I'm just imagining what happens like the more and more we close the gap, James, on that, where it's just that really smooth, okay, here's what I'm noticing and I'm expressing it. Here's what I'm noticing. I'm listening and I'm expressing. And expressing doesn't always have to be gigantic or just somebody else where I'm revealing something scary. It can be just a small sound or a little movement that realigns us with what's happening right inside of us. I love that. So yeah, Michael went from a 2.5 to an 8.5. Holy moly. And James went from a 2 to a 6. Wow. Excellent. That it's funny because I'm like, every time I say like excellent, I'm like, approve. But I just am so happy, really, is what it is. I'm so happy that you were able to shift that for yourself. Christina discovered how rooted she was in her discomfort and gave herself permission to uproot her feet and run away. Oh, wow. What an act of self love, right? You didn't stay rooted, you gave yourself permission. So, yeah, was there anything else that you wanted to share about that experience other than your 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 scale? Like, did anything else surprise you, or was it challenging? Was there parts of it that were challenging, or do you just easily slip into whole body expressing? One of the practices that I'll share with you before we um, transition to our Zoom room, one of the practices that I love to do is kind of a combo here, where I will set a 2-minute timer and I'll notice something, some issue or whatever is forefront in my brain, whether it's issue or potential or feeling or sensation. And I'll express that with my whole body, setting the 2-minute timer. I think the 2-minute timer is really lovely because sometimes I won't start expressing if I have this judgment that I'm going to just get stuck in it and continue down that road and make it worse, or nothing's going to happen. So I get stuck in my head and use that as an excuse for not getting started. With a 2-minute timer, it's like, okay, I know I'm just gonna ease into this for a chunk of time. And whatever happens, happens. And when the timer goes off, I can just pause and do something else. And so I set myself a 2-minute timer. I express with my whole body. And then, particularly with this, making that one shift at the end choosing something that that one little change at the end that I notice that my attention is really gravitating towards. And then once I make that small change and start breathing, you could even set another 2-minute timer, and this time express with your whole body that new experience. Like with me, let's go back to my example. I had my hands behind my back, and I really felt like my hands were tied behind my back, and that I was still engaging. So I was still doing what I didn't want to be doing. Still here. I'm still doing this homeschooling thing the way I don't want to be doing it. And my hands are tied behind my back, but I have to do it. And then when I shifted my hands out in front of me, I automatically started to loosen up. And for me, moving my hands is really a creative expression movement. And so I could bodify more of this, right? Bodify. I'm using another word for whole body expressing. I could use my whole body to now express what my hands want to do. And I could, in a sense, heighten that experience and see where I go from there. So this is what I was talking about when I'm saying we're accepting, we're being with our experience, and we're improvising with it, and we're noticing what emerges in that space, and we can play with that, right? All right. I'm checking the comments here again. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Christina says her pre-verbal toddler is coming out when she's playing with this whole body expressing. And I hear you. If this is how it's going to be, then I just don't want to do it. Toddler is coming out too. And through this process, I get to make friends. I get to make friends with my toddler. And I get to make new choices. All right, so I want to switch over to I have one more thing I want to share with you folks. So if this type of authenticity, so for me, the ultimate game that I want to play here on Earth is the authenticity game. It's when I'm tuning into what's going on with me and I'm expressing it, the more I get comfortable with that, the more I can do it. I'm being authentic with myself, but the more I can do it with other people, right? And the more authentic I'm being, the more me I'm being, no matter what is happening. And that's, these yes and games, they really do the two things that I've been kind of saying over and over and over again, but I'll say it one more time. They reveal what's going on, really going on within you, and they allow me to playfully connect with my essence. So who I am really inside of me, right? So I can start making choices from that place, right? Rather than the approval, disapproval place. And so if the authenticity game is a game that you want to play, just give me a shout out right now. Like, put it in the comments. Let me know if, authenticity is your jam, or you really want to head there if it hasn't been in the past. And just reading the comments here, great comments. Love all the sharing happening right now. So if authenticity is your jam, I want to invite you to join my colleague and I, Christina Turner, who's on here, been sharing to join a group called New Choice, Life as an Invitation to Play. So this is a group where we create the space for you to reveal your inner experience, playfully express yourself, and get curious about the thoughts and beliefs that you might have been operating from before, but then help you or play with you in a way that allows you to make up a new game for yourself, whether it's the authenticity game or the I'm complete and whole just as I am game, or the I'm a powerful creator game. Like, we are all about making up the new ways to be in this world that are beyond that right and wrong. And so I'm going to put into our chat here the link, and I'll also have it share it into another post. Our group, we really honor our right now experience and then claim our authentic desire for a pleasurable change, a playful change in our lives. And what I'm sharing with you this week with the 5-day challenge are some of the fundamental moves and ways that we play in our group. You know, we also do lots of breathing, improv games, wonder questions. We interview personas and characters, and we do individual, spotlight coaching with the group. So I invite you to join us or to check it out and let me know if you have any questions. Or if you can't make the time that we do it, then be sure to let me know, because we are considering adding a new time. So, all right, so I'm going to post this and I will see you over in our Zoom room so we can chat and maybe do another exercise together. All right. Till then, bye for now.